what has affectionately become PopsToberFest. That's right, the film festival of Pop's favorites of Halloween, scary, spooky type movies. And with me, this guy over here. He sat through, I think it's a pretty fun, cultish werewolf film called The Howling, and then its
Hmm.
sequel, which neither of us, I believe, have seen. And we will tell you our thoughts on that as well. So, Baron, my friend, thanks for doing this. Appreciate you, man. And it's always fun to hang out.
Always happy to be here. That is no lie. I do look forward to these every fortnight to talk about these movies and to expand even my library of knowledge on things. So, for myself, I only seen The Howling once, way back when it was on cable. You know, uh, and I remembered certain little scenes, especially when you're getting close to the end. Other than that, I forgot most of the film, and I've never seen the other one. And I wish. Spoiler alert, everybody! Wish
Yep.
I didn't. But
Yeah.
except for one thing, about that movie, I'm glad I
Yeah.
did see it.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Similar experience. Mine was VHS. It was just a random VHS tape. So we
Hmm.
had this little mom and pop store. I lived very far out into the country, where I went to
Hmm.
school. It was it's grown up now, so people that would know Land O'Lakes, Florida, would be shocked when I say this. But there was nothing out where I lived, so it was like 6 miles north of the high school or so. And there's this
Hmm.
little strip mall. There's a Magic Market on one corner, whatever. And there's this little video store next to a donut shop. And we get these, and you could get as many as six at a time. So I had a friend and her mom, and they would get like six movies. We'd sit around and watch movies,
Hmm.
and it was great. I was in heaven, of course. During this time of my life. And Howling was just one of those grabs. It's kind of like the way I feel about like
Hmm.
Cujo. Like I've seen Cujo once, a VHS rental from back
Yeah.
then. Never watched it
Hmm.
again. Had no aversions to watching it again. But I thought, well, you know what? It's on kind of like the to-do list. Let me see if Baron's interested. And since I've never watched the sequel, I'll at least watch, because there's several sequels. I'll at least watch the second one. Boy, I tell you what, that was not what I expected as a follow-up. I do understand a lot more now why. Like I get, so I
Hmm.
love the fact that we do this because it also forces me to like, okay, well, how could this movie have gone from a Joe Dante, you know, Rob Bottin
Hmm.
serious approach to werewolves and wolfman lore, adaptions
Yeah.
from a book, people that are very
Hmm.
passionate. They bring in Dee Wallace, who is great.
Yep.
They have sort of like great, I don't even know, like third level, like Kevin McCarthy, John
Yep.
Carradine, and Slim Pickens. But they're not
Hmm.
even, they're just like, they show up and leave. Like you don't even, if you don't really know that they're there, you're not even catching. So,
Yeah.
and it's just a typical werewolf story that does a lot of
Hmm.
things right. And I was with you. I didn't remember much of anything. The thing I remembered the most is actually there's a shot of, I think if it's not the first one, it's one of the early transformations. And he
Hmm.
stands up and the ears are exponentially too long in the
Hmm.
angle that they do it. And that was the shot I remember very vivid. If you had asked me the shot besides obviously this one, I pulled up the poster shot. If you'd asked me
Hmm.
any other image, that would have been the one that come to mind. So,
Right.
um,
Well, for me, the one that always it was kind of a joke for all of us. Let me give you a piece of my mind,
mm,
and that was kind of that was the one of the scenes that has permeated in me
yeah.
because it's like, ooh, what's he doing? And then of course that kind of became kind of an in joke with the crowd we were in, and then
Right.
I mean it
Right.
didn't last long. It's like it lived a short life of a short meme amongst us, but then and memes can be something other than on the internet, folks. And then it went away, but it's always been one that I always remembered from that movie.
I saw you die.
Well, here I am, Karen. Look at me. I want to give you a piece of my mind.
So just a little plot summary for those of you who don't know much about it. Here's Dee Wallace. Oh, it kind of cuts her off a little bit here, so sorry about that.
Mm.
I'll find a better picture then. Dee Wallace, he is a news anchor or news person, reporter, investigative journalist, however
Mhm.
you want to look at it. She's on a case that takes her into like the horrific levels of crime, and she's lured into an adult theater, subject herself to violent sexual behavior, and then she's attacked by that individual who is shot and presumably killed. She suffers from like a PTSD from that experience and decides to go out to kind of get away with it for their husband to this secluded resort that's called the colony. And unbeknownst to her, is the colony is also like a double for where the werewolves live and lure people in. And early on, they have a sequence of events that lead to the husband getting scratched. Well, by the way, I will admit I'm very happy because I think I'd been kind of critical of the new Wolfman movie that I thought was pretty terrible. I did a review on that early this year, and it was only based on like a scratch that he gets infected, and I thought that was very weak because I remember the classic Universal monsters. It just seemed like it always was much more than just a. It was a non-lethal bite. Was generally the lore that I was familiar with. Wasn't really familiar with the random scratch that would infect you as well. This movie's based on that. And then you have this sort of like what's going on around this character, Dee Wallace's character, and what's happening with her husband. And I think that's the general gist of the story of how she can get herself out of it, what's actually transpiring. There's a couple other characters that kind of come and go that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point or another. So pretty fair synopsis, you think?
Yeah, pretty fair. I mean, I think, wasn't it she bit his lip, and that's the thing that sent it going? Because I kind of remember when he visited her in the cabin, she started kissing, and it's like seemed like she bit the lip, and he's kind of going back and like, get away from me. And if I remember right, I mean, I hate to say this, there's certain stuff they start even forgetting even after that because of how it goes. But yeah, you're pretty. I think you're pretty right on it there in a quick synopsis.
Yeah. Very simplistic, very high level. Joe Dante, who people will know as a director of Gremlins, is probably his most famous film, even though he's done tons and tons of other things.
Oh, yeah.
What I will say that you'll find in this film, if you're a fan of his in any way, shape, or form, you'll find really interesting cinematography. He has a lot of interior, exterior. It feels like a film of its time. It feels a lot more like Evil Dead or other uber low budget, maybe the first Friday the 13th. It feels like that era of filmmaking, and it does a lot of things that I think are kind of out of the norm for normal Hollywood productions. Joe Dante doesn't deserve. I don't know if he gets enough credit for how well executed this film is because it is really done well.
Yeah, the cinematography, the tone, the feel. I mean, about the only thing I have to complain about that he did is some of the music choices that he had for as you're going through, like the closing theme that they had as the credits roll. I thought that was just kind of odd, but he was great with using the organ in there, giving kind of that throwback to the Universal monster films and what we expect with gothic horror, which this borderlines on. This is like 80s gothic, and I think it helped kick open the doors a little bit to this. I mean, this was the year of wolves that this came out. You had American Werewolf in London. In fact, they lost their the effects guy to American Werewolf in London, and of course he makes these great werewolf effects. Unfortunately, it kind of overshadowed the other. And then you had like the Wolfen or whatever.
Wolfen, we definitely have. I've never seen Wolfen either, so that's actually on my to-do list. Have you seen Wolfen?
Okay. No, I've never seen Wolfen.
Oh, either. we should just do that one next. I think it's also on Tubi. I think it's already telling me that I should watch it next on Tubi. Tubi's very aggressive, like what to next.
Yeah.
If you like a wolf movie, I have another wolf movie. If you like a piranha movie, I'll have another. I mean, whatever it is, it's a very simplistic algorithm. So maybe we'll talk and decide if we want to do Wolfen or not. I've never seen, and it's one of those things. Again, same thing. Just haven't ever gotten around to it. Don't know why. No aversion. Just didn't see it. So.
Wolfen. They can sense the rhythm of your blood. Hear clouds pass overhead. See where you are blind. A force so deadly, it will tear the scream from your throat. Wherever you are, they are. Wolfen. Rated R. Now playing. Check newspaper for local listing.
Yeah, I mean, and so I think everything was overshadowing, but I think this helped kick the doors to other '80s gothics like Fright Night
Mm-hmm.
and such like that. Bringing a style, bringing back, even though there might be blood and gore, bringing back a stylistic to it. Except, unlike what you had with Halloween's and Friday the 13th, where it's like, oh, blood, guts, and boobs. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
This was more. I mean, yeah. And of course, as we go and discuss a little bit more of the psychological background on the film,
Mm-hmm.
on stuff, because sexuality is definitely a part of it and is a game changer for werewolves films. But I think was helping bring back that gothic, and I think we need that gothic back.
Yeah, I think that it did a great job of trying to pay homage to what came before, and then also trying
Mm-hmm.
to do some different things. And I will say again, there's we have not coordinated this as at all. Just so you guys
No.
know, Joe Dante is part of like the Roger Corman School of Production. Like for
Right.
his first gig is doing trailer editing for Roger Corman. So
Mm-hmm.
again, a creative, think out of the box, think of within a budget, tell a good
Mm-hmm.
story, even if you don't have the money for it.
Right.
Now, we mentioned the special effects guy. We'll just flip it on over. So yeah, Rick Baker jumps ship here, goes over to
Yep.
American Werewolf in London, and Rob Bottin picks up the slack here. What is interesting to me was, and I had totally forgotten, as I mentioned earlier, so much of the similarity with like the bubbling of the skin, the
Mm-hmm.
ears, the hair effects, some of the parallels between the two of them. You could tell they're. I think Rob Bottin might be a student of Rick Baker, or they're just I
Yeah.
don't know, but
They worked
you,
together before and such. Yeah.
oh, definitely are. They're definitely tight, and you definitely can feel that they're almost like in the same universe. Like it wouldn't really be a stretch for you to say American Werewolf London and this movie are sort of in the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
In America, this is how this colony is. This is how they survive here. American Werewolf London, he doesn't have a colony, hence he's just a rogue,
Right.
lone wolf, if you will. But I think the effects are phenomenal. As I said, I feel like they did a great job of trying to bring certain moments. I would say, to be critical, we think where American Werewolf London works is they show so much less. It
Yeah.
taps into that subconscious. It taps into you filling in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Rob Bottin trying to show too much, and they didn't wrangle him in on. There are effects that kind of like go on too long, like it's
Mm-hmm.
transforming, but it doesn't really stop transforming. It doesn't really become so. They have to cut because they have to get to
Right.
something else. So it's not as
Yeah.
smooth, if you will. It's not as precise. Hence the reason
Mm-hmm.
American Werewolf in London is definitely touted more with the mechanics. Rick
Right.
Baker invented this massive mechanical jaw and stuff that was so
Mm-hmm.
on the budget, and what they're able to accomplish is truly phenomenal for its era. I think,
Right.
and really enjoyed it for sure.
And I think even to the level of fact that American Werewolf in London made it more, David Naughton's character much more primal, much more animal, much more. Uh, uh, I had the word on my in there, but it went away because I had to file fax David Naughton's name. But I mean, you actually have him turning into like this dire wolf. Unlike
Mm-hmm.
in this film, it's like closer to that classic Universal, half man, half wolf type of thing.
Yeah,
Walking
man
on that
wolf
legs,
stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which is no problem. Which is no problem. There's room for both in the werewolf world, honestly, and and yeah, I think took a little bit too long. I think they just wanted to show off, and that's fine. But there's ways to show off without dragging it out too much. It's not like the Enterprise. We first see the Enterprise scene in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Yes, that's long, but it's deserving because we're seeing that old girlfriend back. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, this is my high school girlfriend. She was good looking then, and she's even better looking now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the situation here. It's just like, hey,
Yeah.
look what I can do.
Yeah,
And
I will say I don't even know that he was trying to show off as much as because it really hasn't been done. So they're just trying to
yeah,
different things, and just like I said,
mm-hmm.
they just didn't rope it in. I bet if I could,
Right.
A director's cut of this, you might tweak a little here, tweak a little there. But reality is, it's a different approach
Mm-hmm.
to the werewolf mythology.
Right.
As you said earlier, was the the sexuality part of it all being a
Right.
different sort of like, so the female wolf wants to seduce the male into
Mhm.
the pack, very aggressive, very
Mhm.
intense. I have to be honest, and it gets way worse in the sequel. Obviously,
Oh God.
the sequel centers around this theme way too much. And the worst
Mhm.
part is, and I know this is, and coming from me, I know Baron could tell everyone it came from Pop. So it's like I really find it dumb that they keep more human behavior, if you know what I mean, instead
Mhm.
of animal, dog, werewolf type. To me, it would be like, why are you all like caressing? And to me,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. Again, I'm reading too much into it, but again, I'm a farmer who has animals who are constantly doing stuff with one another one particular way without any sort of like conversation or debate. They just, one's in heat, the other's in heat. Let's get to it.
Right.
I
Mhm.
feel like these scenes are done for just just almost like
Oh, yeah.
faux eroticism, and it it works well in Howling because you have this
Right.
dichotomy with the husband and the wife, and he's being pulled away to the pack.
Mhm.
In the sequel, it's a complete disaster,
Right.
debauchery. It's just done for Rod. It almost feels like a Roger Corman. It feels more like a Roger Corman film because it feels like it's debauchery for the sake of debauchery.
Mhm.
But what do you think about how the sexuality was handled and how it kind of works, the themes in this film compared to what you would have expected?
Well, I'm going to hold back on the Howling 2 because I'm sure we'll be talking about it later on here. But in
Hmm.
this one, it works because they are getting to that bestial nature, and that was the word I was looking for.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not gratuitous, not like, again, we won't talk about the other one yet. Um, there were specific things to it, but this werewolf film was the first one to really introduce with that bestial nature the drive of procreation, which is what it's a sexual thing. Just like the book Dracula was about basically trying to invade,
Hmm.
basically come in, take over. But when you got to the movies, it started taking again a more even though it was back in the at that time a more sexual nature, and now was starting to warn about STDs, which was happening at the time and stuff like that. um but you never thought of that with werewolves. I mean, you
Right.
can't imagine Lon Chaney Jr. getting it on.
Yeah.
Well, here you have two specific werewolf films in the same year where, this one howling much more than American Werewolf in London, but there is that sexual tone, that letting it out. And Patrick Macnee's character is basically, throughout the film, you can get those tidbits of what he's saying about that,
Yeah.
the releasing that inner beast. And it works. It's not really good. Yeah, the one bears everything, but it works. It's not a gratuitous thing, and that was also the weakest transformation scene because it's complete. Looks like Ralph Bakshi animation when they were doing some of that. I don't know if they ran out of money or what, um, but it was an overall. You could have that the sexual frustration between husband and wife because she's not wanting anything to do after her PTSD, and he does. They go to the colony. She gets tempted, and now she wants to initiate things, and he's not interested, and
Mhm.
because he's getting that, he's becoming part of the pack.
Right.
And it's just like with animals and stuff, you always have someone, one of them trying to become the alpha. And what's one of the ways to try to be the alpha? Well, fight the lesser ones and claim your prize.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say it broke one of my rules, and I
Uh-oh.
forgot this, of course, but I don't like things that only work if we keep them a secret.
Right.
I don't like story elements where the only reason the husband wife stuff kind of progresses the way it does is because he doesn't tell her that this
Mhm.
scratch and he's having issues, or there was no real transition. It just goes from, you know, she wants doesn't want any, now she does, and he's saying
Mhm.
no. There's no
Right.
conversation, there's no transition. he
Right.
just he just next thing you know, he's out the door and he's at the fire under the moonlight making out with the she devil wolf, and
Mhm.
giving everybody a 1980s scene that they all are
Yeah.
like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
However, like you said, it does work well. And it doesn't really become something that, again, this is why I think this movie works so much better than the sequel, is it doesn't overshadow everything else going on. It's just a scene and it happens. It shows now Bill's been sucked in full on, whether he knows it or not. And now the movie's going to transition to survival. How are these people going to out the colony? What's really going on with the colony? You have her friend, the reporter, and another reporter. Like I said, there's other characters that come and go. It's almost not even worth our time because they don't really matter. They're just caricatures. Like if we remade this film properly, we could race and gender swap those characters because it doesn't matter. Like those are the ones at Hollywood, you can just do whatever you want with them. But who cares? Like it doesn't matter. And it's a fascinating film, way ahead of its time of what do we do? How do we deal with it? Because she's supposed to be like a professional journalist shaken by the evils of the world. Turns out he's more than just evil. He's an actual monster. And then, by the way, he's among tons of other monsters. And crap, I put myself in the middle of their backyard. And my husband now has been bitten by one, or he's screwing one or something. I don't know what's going on. Like it's really an interesting, very simple. They did a good job. And again, this is a film that's 91 minutes. They get in, they get out, they tell their story. Man, it just made me miss good storytelling at every level, Baron. I was just really impressed on this film.
Well, when you talk about that mystery thing or whatever, I think why it works for this film is because, unlike a lot of the others that make films, this felt real. I mean, there are situations like that between couples, especially when they are having relationship issues, which after an event like this does cause. So I think the fact that it's just so realistic on that level that it works. So many people just don't hit the nail on the head, and it's like, okay, it's ruined. So if it's done right, it works. If it doesn't,
so this is just one of the shots. I think it like the fingernail stuff works great. The bubbling on the face goes on too long. He doesn't move to another effect. They should have had an edit that cuts away. But again, Rob Bottin goes on from this to do The Thing. Like he and Rick Baker are transforming special effects, and obviously completely independent of the two of them is what Stan Winston's doing. Stuff that's happening independent of even the two of them. So we have this massive thing, and of course they both worked on Star Wars. Of course they both worked on 1976 King Kong. So this is not the library of stuff that these men are doing in transforming special effects as we know it is phenomenal. And to be able to know that Joe Dante is supporting them in this endeavor was such a fun film to work on. But yeah, let me run through some of the production stills of some of the other random characters that are in the movie. I know because I'm selling them short. Like I'm well aware that I'm selling them short, folks. This is Patrick Macnee. Come and go. You have a little shot here. This is Dennis Dugan. And it's like these are the characters that could be changed. Like if we did a proper follow-up remake, whatever. And again, we'll get to the sequel in a minute. She's kind of like the other. Elizabeth Brooks is sort of like the other quasi star of the movie. I really thought she was great as sort of like the seductress. Phenomenal. I don't know if she does a vampire film.
I think she does. I could be wrong.
Quick.
Yeah, me
She's
too.
mostly soap work. It looks like a lot of TV work. Oh man, she was on Emergency. Man, I haven't heard Emergency being referenced in a minute. Wow, that's good stuff. So I don't see a full filmography here really quickly, but yeah, she would have been. She's sort of like the embodiment of like the vampirilla of that. You know what I mean? Like she just has that look and feel.
Right. Well, being that you talk about Emergency, obviously you didn't hear me the other day on the one show because I said, "Hey, Kevin Tighe, Emergency, hey."
I know.
Well, we were old enough, we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was okay, but she would have been great in there. Unfortunately, she passed way too young at the age of 46. I mean, but what an exotic, beautiful woman she was. And she was partnered with Christy McNichol. I mean, what an odd pairing, but but they were, while they were a couple, and then they were, of course, good friends after that. And it's like, wow, it seems like two different ends of the world between those two, with her exotic building and beauty, and Christopher Nichols' kind of tomboy look
Right,
that she
right,
has.
yeah.
Mhm.
Grasshopper's dad, right? We get
Yep.
Grasshopper's dad. We got John Carradine. So yeah, David and Keith's dad, and yeah, so it was good to see him. And
Well, and I think we have to give even more credit. He's also the father of the king of the nerds.
that's true. That's true. King of the nerds, and of course the Joe
Yep.
Dante staple.
Hmm.
I had a good picture. I love every time I see him on screen. Dick
Oh,
Miller
me too.
just brings me joy. I
Yeah.
It's a shame that he just isn't still around to do moments like this where he can just kind of
Hmm.
walk on, walk off, do a role. And I don't know, I just feel like we lost time. But yeah, he was pretty
Hmm.
much in every Joe Dante movie, or pretty darn near it. He's in
Hmm.
the Terminator, and the list goes on
Hmm.
and on and on of stuff this guy did. And it's always a treat, always a thrill
With
seeing
that
Dick Miller.
New York attitude, with that New York
Yeah.
attitude that he had, it's like, and that fast talking, and he was so good. He was so good. He's the epitome of a character actor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For
You bring
sure.
him in, you use him, he shines, he really adds to it. And, of course, then you move on, but you still remember him. And when you see other movies, it's like, oh, I know that guy. He was in.
Yeah. His first movie is actually Bucket of Blood. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Bucket of Blood. That's an old school reference right there.
Yeah, Bucket Blood,
Uh,
and Not of This Earth.
yeah, good stuff. Here's that design I was
Mm-hmm.
telling you guys about. Um, just wasn't that. So that was the image that I'd remember, would be the image of here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if you guys can see that, um, with the ears and stuff. So yeah, it wasn't my
Mm-hmm.
favorite design element, but
No.
and some of the transformations though looks very scary, very intense for
Mm-hmm.
1980s. Shot on location. It all feels very real. Feels very much like I said, these other movies that we talked about briefly. If you
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of thing, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love all that.
Yeah.
So, how would you score a movie? How do you score the first Howling film?
Dang. I mean, I definitely would say this has gone into more cult than mainstream because, again, it was overshadowed by American Werewolf in London, but that's neither here nor there. With all the effort, Joe Dante, Dee Wallace, her husband, by the way, who was also her husband in the movie, Christopher Stone. People don't remember that for a while she was Dee Wallace Stone until his death. Um, but again, you're seeing all the backup people: Dennis Dugan, John Carradine, Kevin McCarthy. We forgot the important thing: Eddie, Robert
Oh,
Picardo.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
if you want to see a role where you would never expect the Doctor from Voyager to be, and actually have hair, a lot of hair. In fact, we're showing some of the pictures of Robert Picardo as his character of Eddie in there. Kenneth Toby. I mean, the fact that he brings all these in, and Slim Pickens, needless to say, how everything works. About the only weak thing were, like I said, some of the music choices, the the background, the two characters that were coming up to help, and such. Um, they were kind of weak. They could have done a little bit better with having them in the movie. Transformation, and when it comes around to transformation, I wonder how much of it is the effects guy's fault, because we all know they overdo it when they film it, so they have all these different scenes.
right,
How much of that is Joe Dante and the editor that we have that, and not
right.
him? So, and it's like, hey, let's just use it all. Um, I give it 4 bucket of popcorns.
All right, that's
This is a
solid.
film you watch on for the Halloween season. I mean, you got your greats again: American Werewolf and Fright Night, if you want the modern stuff, and then of course your Hammer films, your Universal films, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. All the ones that you should be watching. This needs to be added to your collection to watch for PopsToberFest.
Yeah, it's definitely solid. I always have. I always have American Werewolf in London among my three. They're like the three goats for me.
Mm-hmm.
The Thing, American Werewolf in London, and Halloween. They're my three that kind of the foundation and pinnacle of everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
This has really risen a lot higher than I had remembered. Like I feel that it's not as fluid and flows as well with some of the issues with all these secondary characters and stuff, and I'm not quite as engaged. I think the difference
Mm-hmm.
is the strategy. In American Werewolf in London, it's this, it's a more focused. This is a little bit different. So
Mm-hmm.
I can almost go for. I'm going to go 3.5 out of 5 for
Oh.
now, but I will
Mm-hmm.
want to watch it again and see how that evolves because I hadn't watched it in so
Mm-hmm.
long. I feel like
Right.
even just one viewing may not even done it justice. So let me sit and watch it again, and because a lot of times what will happen is I'll pick up on a setup and a payoff that I would have missed. You know what I mean? It'll be like something in the
Mm-hmm.
first act. They're like, oh, okay,
Right.
I see they do pay that off. Oh, I see what they did there.
Mm-hmm.
So when you watch it one time, you don't always get some of those nuances. And I want to be
Right.
fair. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as everything else goes, underrated because it's in the shadow of the
Right.
other film for
Mm-hmm.
sure. So
What she has witnessed, she cannot escape.
I turned around, but I didn't see him.
What he has become, he cannot control.
You don't know what it's like.
And what you experience, no one will believe until they come face to face with the inhuman fear that is the Howling. Rated R.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check newspapers.
I was just going to say, well, I made the mistake. Spoiler alert. I made the mistake of saying, well, you know what? I've never watched Howling 2.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should. It's right there. Like I said, Tubi is taunting me, telling me I should. I'm like, fine.
Party time! Ow! It's the rocking, shocking, new wave of horror. Howling II. Howling II. It's not over yet.
I go to log in. I start checking this out a little bit, and I realize, oh, Christopher Lee is in this. I'm like, that is interesting. Now, Baron, I don't think had started watching this by the time I messaged him. I
Mm-hmm.
said, poor Christopher Lee. poor Christopher Lee, who, as I've read now, says, I had never done a werewolf movie. And I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
sadly, he chose this one.
It,
This movie.
and when he worked with Joe Dante on Gremlins 2,
Yeah.
he apologized to him.
He apologized. Yeah.
I'm sorry I did that film. Really, Joe, I'm really sorry.
Yeah. This would be Christopher Lee saying, these people suck and they suck
Yeah.
bad. This movie is a mess. There's actually probably only about, in my opinion, 20 to 30 minutes of actual movie. They repeat actual shots. There are actual shots of close-ups of things. They just keep reusing. There are some of the worst editing. I cannot stand this technique, but they will make a reference to something and they will cut to a standalone image of that thing as though that's what the person is thinking. I hate that approach. It's distracting.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're obsessed with the fact that they got this band to be a part of this movie with this song that they, and I will admit, it's a little bit of an earworm song. Like the song was kind of stuck with me a little bit. This little howling song that they come up with from this band called Babel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine, but they abuse my tolerance of the band and the music, and it just never. So for me, I could almost edit Howling 2 down to about 20 to 30 minutes like a long TV. Maybe I could go to an hour long because I got commercial breaks, so I only have to get to
Oh,
like 44 minutes. So I probably could make it an hour TV movie, and we would
mhm.
improve it dramatically. So, what say
Even
you,
with the
Baron?
bad performances. Even with
Oh, it's
yeah,
rough.
you're right. Even with the bad, because this didn't look like a movie. It looked like something that should be on TV,
Hmm.
right? Now I knew from back then by word of mouth that Howling 2 was bad. So when you sent me that text, I just yep, and I'm going to be going into that lion den right about now, and yeah, and it does work it up. There's only one good thing in this film: Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Even in the worst of films, he shines. He still puts a performance in. I mean, if you want to add a couple more things, it's the constant exposure of Sybil Danning. But they went from
Technically, it's only one shot. They just happen to
mm,
repeat the shot 17
over,
times in the closing credits.
yeah,
So all right. So here's the premise. It takes place right after the first film. It is the
hmm
funeral of the main character, Dee Wallace's character. It
hmm
involves her brother and then another journalist who's sort of vouching for the fact that yes, she did become a werewolf. He doesn't want to believe that.
hmm
Enter Christopher Lee, who is basically like, yeah, not only is she a werewolf, we all kind of need to get on a little. Well, we don't know what they get on because it's all off screen. Presumably a plane and go to Transylvania. That he refers to it as the Dark Country. He is
hmm
fantastic. Uh, I hated that sequence because we just jump. We have no idea how long
right,
things have been. We just end up
mm,
overseas. I don't know. It the premise here, instead of having a colony and they're sort of like
hmm
in hiding, it is literally like a Transylvanian wolf pack of these creatures. However, they're not really the werewolves that we see in the first movie. They're
no,
now the main werewolf queen, if you will, um, is sort of an amalgam. That's a Sybil Danning character. Sturba is sort of an amalgam of like a gypsy witch and I don't quite totally also get like some of the mind control stuff. I don't even know if that's gypsy witch or not. But there's all this like I can sing like a siren. She can sing,
hmm
and I was like, what? This felt like a Roger Corman film. Now we feel like a Roger Corman film. Now we feel like just a bunch of crap that got made. We want to just
hmm
try to get to some boobs. We're,
right,
I mean, there's so much of this sort of like the lair and the scene, and it just keeps going
hmm
for no purpose. They're
no.
not bringing anyone really into the pack, were they, Baron? They're just doing stuff. We're like, okay, what are we
Yeah,
doing?
that was the least of their intent, was to bring anybody in.
Yeah,
It's just like we want to eat you and aardvark.
fornicate. Yeah.
Yeah, fornicate. There
Uh,
we go. Yeah, you're much more classy than me. Uh, but I mean, watching some of that, it's like it was reminding me of Caligula.
yeah.
If people know that, it's like,
Here's
what?
the
Okay,
scene.
did I? Yeah,
It's,
yeah. At
it's
least
just, but they weren't like, it wasn't like this is the main character and they're trying to bring her into
no,
the pack. This is just a scene they
no,
cut to, and it's just
right.
long-winded scenes. So it's like the second in command is at the funeral, so they bring her in. So
hmm
it's basically a scene with her. It's just all about
Right.
random lust, and so again,
Yeah.
I could cut all of this out because none of this has to do
hmm
with anything. It's so bad,
Right.
and then it's
And
compounded by the fact. Go ahead.
oh, and even like some of the love making scenes that they have are so horrible.
And this
I
is
mean,
at the
this
end.
isn't even to the love acts. I mean, Cinemax would go back and go, we'll put it up even later after Lady Chatterley's Lover. It's not even Lady Chatterley's Lover's level.
It was
It's
bad.
like
It's just so, and it was
it
all just a waste of our time. Like it doesn't. It even so
right.
like this is late in the movie. I don't even care about spoilers, man. Don't watch this movie. That's my moral of the story.
Yeah.
So these two are so god awful. They're worse than soap opera bad. I'm
Yeah.
pretty. I would be shocked if they have film resumes that are even worth mentioning. Annie
Well,
McEnroe and is it Rob Brown? Um,
yeah.
maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe they are in other stuff
Well,
that matter, but
well,
oh,
Well, let's give Reb Brown a little bit of his resume here. He was our first Captain America in the 2 films.
Oh, that's true. He was, wasn't he? Oh my
He,
gosh, I
yeah, with the
forgot about
fake
that.
ears, and in
Hmm.
the second one, he actually worked with Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, how odd is that? Now, the other one, hardly any resume, and rightly so. I mean, she looks like Marcy Darcy from Married with Children after having a blood cocky.
She's
I mean,
terrible.
yeah,
She
it's
is
like,
just.
yeah, even when it comes down to those two having this relationship that doesn't even make sense. It's like they go over there, they're not a couple. In fact, they virtually meet each other at the funeral, and then all of a sudden they're acting like lovers when they get to the dark country. I wish I
Yeah, and
could
they
do
have
that
a
with
really
with
bad edited makeout scene too, where they're just doing it. And then the weird thing
yeah,
is the wolf pack is close enough to kind of like sniff the
yeah,
pheromones, and I'm like, it is so cheesy bad. It
oh,
is so cheesy bad in every possible way imaginable. And as I said, they have moments where like, so this is a shot of her with sort of like her weird witch powers and stuff like
yeah,
that's going on, and then it just keeps happening. And
yeah,
kind of the twist of fate is that Christopher Lee's character turned out to be her brother, and he
hmm,
really is kind of the only one that can kind of take her down because she's
right,
bent on just increasing the size of her pack,
hmm,
presumably. And I
which
will
you never
admit
do,
I will admit they do a pretty good job of including sort of like they have to come up with something, and they lean into like Christian scriptures and
right,
Bible readings and a God
hmm,
theme of excommunicating this evil and whatever. But
hmm,
then they just kind of end up face to face, and they both burst into flames because makes no sense why they burst into flames. She's a
right.
werewolf, presumably, witch, gypsy, whatever. Still don't understand why she would burst into flames, and it basically just kills them both. And we're left with the two tabloid soap stars that are bad as the only ones that survived this fiasco.
You serious?
Yeah, and and that once I did a pops, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, I saw
I'm not
that.
meaning to copy you. I'm not meaning
Yeah,
to
totally
copy
fun.
you.
This movie would warrant that for sure.
I mean, I love that because with the back of Christopher Lee looking at the explosion, that was Christopher Lee using their version of the holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Yeah. Oh, I
I
forgot about
mean,
this too. I didn't even know what was happening. So
mm.
there's this character that's
Oh
attacked
yeah,
by this little bat thing, but on the summary, because I was like, I felt like I was missing something. So I actually opened up the summary and I was trying to read it. Like,
hmm,
and they kept referring to it as her demon. And I'm like, okay,
right.
never mind. It doesn't make any sense. They don't know what they're
No.
doing. They just did it. Um,
Well, yeah, and then turns his head into like this demon house, like a bird house. It's a demon house, and it's
yeah.
poking his head out of the mouth, going, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah, it was
I mean,
terrible.
and even how he's taken out is hypersexualized.
Hmm.
You can see, how they're putting that. It's a fetish film.
Really is weird. And I so there's a midget. We have a scene with a
Yep.
crazy midget, and we
Hmm.
have really bad special effects because the studio treated this like a joke and sent
Well,
them over like gorilla and ape costumes instead of any wolf material. I guess there's a line that Christopher Lee came up with about how, quote, they're de-evolving, so from
yeah.
man to ape to wolf, and that's supposed to help justify how some of them are wolf-like. They
Hmm.
barely, I don't know if they really even run like gorillas. They are running like badly trained high school students
Yeah.
running as a costume character. There's no plan, no structure, no idea what's going on. I feel bad for Christopher Lee. I feel
Oh
bad
yeah.
for the legacy of the Howling. I don't even know how this survived to make other movies.
Yeah. I thought this would have been it. Boom. Okay, we're done. And it's that got what, like 9 films, 8 films? I don't know.
I don't even know. There's so many. That's all I know. There's a ton of them. This is Christopher Lee. So all right, I'll just score. Christopher Lee gets the star. I have
Yeah.
no other stars to dole out. 1 star. I'll give it 1. Just Christopher Lee, and he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He has a look. He has an aura, a demeanor. He's serious in every element. Fan freaking tastic. Yeah, he's great.
That is the only reason to watch this film. It was worth the pain to see his performance, because as always, he put it out there. No matter how ridiculous he's in a film, he doesn't phone it in. He brings that presence, but you can tell he's annoyed.
Yes.
You can tell he's annoyed, but I think that helps a little bit with bringing it along. It's, so realistic. A bucket of popcorn, Christopher Lee. The rest of the film, -1.
This
But
is
him,
the best quote. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Well, the person went on to say other things, which is, yeah. Anyway, so his quote, this is a quote that's on Wikipedia's page. Brian Dillard said, "It is a laughable exercise in horror sequel tomfoolery." That is a brilliant statement for this movie. He goes
right?
on to talk about it being so bad it's good kind of camp. I'm like, no, not at all.
No,
They talk about Sybil Danny's sex appeal. I'm like, no, not really. No,
no,
and
no, no.
it's all bad. It's all bad otherwise. So first
Yeah,
film
I mean,
should watch. Second
yeah,
film,
one.
don't bother. And I'm not carrying on in the franchise. Maybe this will be
No,
the final destination thing where someone will go, but Pops, the 5th one is the good one. You gotta watch, because I was
yeah,
wrong about Final Destination. I've said it all along. This new one is actually really, really good. I would never have
right.
predicted it. You never would have gotten me watching Final Destination films, but
Mm-hmm.
it was. Howling 1
Yeah,
for me, just one Howling
yeah.
film. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, with this film, just kind of do a little bit of pecking. First of all, what's sad is the guy who wrote the novel, who wasn't happy with the first Howling film,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Gary Brander. He was involved in this back. Now, he did write a book, Howling II,
Mm-hmm.
which this movie has nothing to do with.
Correct.
And the big part is, your sister is a werewolf. That's your first warning. When a film has such a ridiculous, part of the name, Howling II, your sister is a werewolf. Oh yeah, and I was a teenage werewolf. Okay, great, wonderful. So
Yeah.
the fact that he was involved with the script, trying to get things done. Felipe Mora, who was the director, he sat back and was stating that Sybil Danny's character is 10,000 years old. Well, if she's the sister of Christopher Lee, how does that work? What are we looking at here?
Yep.
Has Christopher Lee's character been? I mean, you get these crazy things they're throwing out, and they don't mesh. It's like, and then of course, like you said, you had the dwarf from the Safety Dance music video in there,
Yeah.
who obviously doesn't like music because his eyes popped out because.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes no sense. Again, earplugs
Yeah,
and siren song makes your ears in head. In a werewolf movie, by the way. So
yeah. And what is this? Is this a werewolf movie or is this a sorcerer's movie? I mean, dark. Yeah. And of course, what is it? No, she needs more than silver bullets. It was titanium.
yeah,
It's
they
like,
started making stuff up.
Yeah, did they have titanium back in the Middle Age? No. Then how did you take care of them back then with the silver? Back then it would have been silver arrows, silver knives, whatever. But now we need to have titanium. And forgive me, Christopher Lee, wherever you are. I know you're in heaven because you were a Christian. But him saying that is like, where the hell did this come from?
Agree. And the scene where Rob Brown and he are shooting, we don't bother with reloading or things that make
Yeah.
sense. It's just a flurry of chaos that's so laughable. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you think of as bad can be recalibrated to. I never thought something could be. I guess it's not really as commercially acceptable or was pronounced as Highlander 2, but it is
Mm-hmm.
way worse than Highlander 2.
Oh, yeah.
Just so we're all clear, this is Roger Corman level bad. This is Roger
Oh.
Corman fetish bad. This is the end of the movie. It's supposed to be this big twist where the two go back, living their lives in an apartment. It's really this awkward, cheesy, go to the door thing to see this little kid.
Yeah.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, look at that weird kid. And then there's no kid. There's a priest like the one that was in Transylvania. And, don't you see what we're doing here? We're setting up more. It was so
Yeah,
bad. I'm
because
like,
we know
oh my
that was
God.
the priest. That was from the dark country, because he was there that one scene where everyone's gathered around this old lady and then she's turning into a werewolf. The scene doesn't make sense. That scene doesn't make sense. And then you got the jump scare because, in that little itty box car, it's not a Yugo. It would have been funny if it was a Yugo, actually. But in that little box car, they couldn't notice that there was a werewolf sitting in the back seat, and then does a jump scare at them. Doesn't make sense.
Nothing makes sense in this movie.
Right. I mean, and you know what? Thank you for reminding me, because that was a comparison I was going to make, what you just did. This film is to Christopher Lee what Highlander 2 was to Sean Connery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
except one thing. Highlander 2 was better. You had Michael Ironsides in that one. And that scene when Connor McLeod and Ramirez meet up for the first time and they have that sword fight, that's a brilliant sword fighting scene and beautiful banter between the two characters. About the only reason why you should watch Highlander 2. Other than that, forget about it.
Yeah, I'm not watching Highlander 2 again. They tricked me on Talk Hard. They told me the Renegade cut was better. So I'm never watching it again now that I know the Renegade cut. It's one of the movies that was so bad in the theater, I actually almost laughed. Like, it was so bad at the moment. And then I'm glad I never saw Howling 2. I regret even asking you to have seen Howling 2. But now at least we can say we've seen another Christopher Lee movie, and we can chalk it up to, is that the one with Christopher Lee? He's the only thing good in it. That's all I can tell you, folks. That's it.
Yeah.
The only thing worth
See,
watching.
like I said, the bucket of popcorn goes to him. The rest of the movie, -1. I mean, that's just the way it goes. I have to do a separate rating system for this. And it shows how great he was to be able to turn this excrement they was given and still shine through.
And he was still trying to. He was the one that came up with the idea to justify the stupid costumes. And he was probably the one that was like, it makes no sense. And they're like, I'm like, so,
right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a king of horror. One of the kings of horror. He, how many Hammer films? I mean, obviously never a werewolf one, but he knows the genre.
Yeah.
Listen to him.
Yeah. So for your PopsToberFest, folks, check out The Howling. Avoid Howling 2. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm avoiding all of the sequels. If you guys disagree with that assessment, feel free to leave your comments and tell us how we should watch Howling 3, 4, whatever it is. I don't even know how many there are. I don't really care. But we'll discuss now if we're up for Wolf. I'm up for Wolfen. Don't you up for Wolfen? I've never seen it.
I am up.
Yeah, let's do Wolfen. We'll squeeze in Wolfen, and we'll have that as another PopsToberFest special. We'll get that in the hopper here to record for you wonderful folks. And hopefully you have a good, fun, scary, creepy time this year. Just don't let the world get you down with all the stuff going on out there, bad movies and crazy things. Just, have some fun. Have some fun. And we're giving you another choice that you can choose from and have a good time. So
have a good bad movie.
Well, careful with that second one. Check out the description.
No, not this bad movie, but let's have a good bad movie. We have to have a good bad movie, but not.
Yeah. Check out that description. All the stuff will be there for Baron. Make sure you check out his work and what he's doing on other channels and all that kind of stuff. Tap into that, and obviously you can check out many of our other first watch videos. And as we gear up our last quarter of the year already, we'll be able to talk about, maybe we'll do an end of the year. We can go through some of them and reminisce and rank. Maybe I don't even know what to say about some of them, but there's a lot of them in there, and we've been able to spend a lot of time together this year doing that. It's been a lot of fun, and hopefully it's been fun for you guys. So you guys take care, and until next time, I am Pops.